A few days ago, I had the idea to do a pistols only video, trying to use a pistol in regular warfare matches and see how I could manage with these arguably overall worse weapons than, the fully automatic or primary weapons available in the game. If you've ever looked at the damage model of pistols, they do an incredibly high amount of damage per shot in close range engagements, with the exceptions of the larger caliber sidearms like the Desert Eagle and the 357 revolver. So I approached the challenge with the thought of going with something a little bit faster firing than the 357 revolver and the Desert Eagle, as those weapons, highly reward headshots, and unfortunately I can't always go for headshots when there are a lot of people in warfare. It's just not feasible. So I started off going with the M1911 because it has 35 damage per shot, and you can bring that damage range up to 24 meters. Now the one downside with this weapon is, even with the extended mag, it only has 11 rounds in the magazine, which is far too little to be able to deal with multiple enemies if I need. Now the G18 is nice and all, it's fully automatic, but it only does 14 damage per shot, so you're taking most of that magazine to take down a single enemy. Now you also have the 93R, which is burst. Again, not a big fan of burst weapons, albeit the M16A4 did actually perform really well in Delta Force, but I decided to go for the G17, which does 33 damage per shot, and you can actually extend the range up to 17 meters. And with the extended mag on here, you have 33 rounds, exactly like the G18, but you're doing more than double the damage per shot. And with headshot damage within that 17 meter range, you're doing 62 damage. And out of all the lower caliber handguns, the G17 actually has the highest headshot damage multiplier at 1.87x. All the other ones are below 1.6x. So the M1911 is 1.6. The QSZ is at 1.235, and then the 93R is 1.24x headshot damage, which is a little bit odd. But yeah, the G17 just comes out on top. A lot of the weapons in the game don't even do that much headshot damage, albeit they do have, for the most part, longer ranges, but 17 meters is nothing to scoff at. This is similar to some of the ranges that you can get SMGs at the base level, albeit you can put like longer barrels on there and suppressors that would then extend that range a little bit further, but you're not doing 62 damage per shot with an SMG, and even a lot of the assault rifles, you're not doing as much damage per shot. So I was like, this might actually be a pretty decent weapon to use as a primary. So I maxed out the G17, equipped it with all of the furniture that I wanted, so suppressor to extend the range, the extended magazine of 33 rounds to get more ammo to deal with multiple enemies, and I just rushed into warfare, hoping that I could actually take down people at a reasonable rate. Now at first, the obvious pitfall of the handgun or the sidearm is it's semi-auto, and you're being out DPS by a lot of the weapons in fully automatic, especially the higher fire rate ones. So you really have to play a little bit more tactical, which is also why the suppressor on the sidearm is kind of a necessity. You don't want people seeing your position or hearing you. You want all that to be somewhat obfuscated in order to sneak around and take people out, pick them off without the other people around noticing that you are there. At first I was playing much too aggressive, like my usual playstyle, where I rush a lot and I'm really in the enemy's face, and with the pistol I actually had to flank a lot more, albeit I do flank quite a bit, but I had to take it a lot slower and be a lot more methodical in my approach to taking out enemies, because I was facing them head on. Most of the time I would probably just get killed. Albeit sometimes I did manage to take multiple enemies head on with only the handgun because of that really high damage model, and that 62 damage per shot headshot is just absolutely insane. So that's like 2-3 shots and they are just gone. If you get 2 headshots, 2 shots and they're dead. It's just so powerful, and people don't expect it to do that much damage, and I can just imagine how many people were like, what, that guy was using a handgun? And I actually topped the scoreboard with only the pistol in terms of score, and then in certain matches I was getting the most kills amongst all the other players with only a handgun. Now I usually run the G18 as a sidearm in all my kits because it's just so easy to pull out and just mow people down due to its high fire rate and being fully automatic, but I might actually start swapping that out for other weapons like the G17 that has a really high damage model that can actually be used at somewhat decent ranges comparable to SMGs. Now, I'm not gonna lie, at first the challenge was frustrating because, yeah, you don't have that fully automatic capability and you're getting out DPS by a lot of weapons, but once I started getting to the groove of using the sidearm only, playing more tactical, and really making sure that I'm landing my shots, and even more so the headshots, I was having an absolute blast, finding myself laughing far too much when I would just take down a squad of enemies with a handgun while they all had fully automatic weapons. Now, albeit some of these players might have not been the best players around, but it was still incredibly hilarious to just take down multiple enemies back to back with only a sidearm. So it just led to some very funny moments and enjoyable time in Delta Force when, you know, content right now is kind of meh. There's not much happening until the launch of the new season, and I was just curious to see how I could actually perform with a pistol only run, and I have to say it was not a bad time. The handguns are actually really powerful, as they are in most games, but you just don't think about using them in this specific fashion because you have all these other weapons that have bigger magazines, higher fire rates, fully automatic, longer range damage models, and you don't really think to use something that is mostly there to serve as a backup purpose once you run out of ammo in your primary weapon, which for the most part I would imagine isn't that frequent. So I might do this again with another handgun like the Desert Eagle or the 357 revolver to really push me to my limits and make it so that I have to aim for headshots. Hell, it might even improve my overall aim in Delta Force and in other first-person shooters. But that'll be it for today's video. Again, different video. I just had a fun idea of using a handgun only in Delta Force, and as you can probably imagine, it can be quite difficult because of the very fast TTK. But if you want to give yourself a challenge or have a bit of fun in Delta Force, change up the playstyle a little bit, you know, maybe use a handgun as a primary weapon, make sure to put a suppressor on there, a longer barrel to increase the damage range, and yeah, just go ham. Let me know if you've ever tried something similar in Delta Force in the comment section down below. In any case, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.